talk about CBD and so many things that it's good for, right? I mean, it's like, it's insane what it's good for. For me, I'll just share like really quickly. I was going through, lost my dad, was going through premenopause and then on into menopause, and I was not sleeping. Like I would wake up after like 8 hours of sleep, or sometimes even 9, and still be exhausted. And I'm like, what the heck? I know that I had 8 to 9 hours of sleep. When we got our CBD, I was a little bit reluctant at first to try it. And then I was like, I'm just going to go ahead and I'll just try one drop. And I cannot tell you, I woke up at like 7 o'clock in the morning, way before my alarm clock. And I had felt like, I was wide awake. I went through that REM sleep. It was amazing. And so what I use, if I'm really, exhausted, I'll do 2 drops, but I can usually get away with 1 drop and that's it. It will put me in that REM sleep. It's amazing stuff. The other thing that, well, we don't really like to talk about, but it's a real deal or issue in this world today is anxiety and depression. There's so much of anxiety and depression that we've been through. I'm going to just show a little bit on teens because it's really affecting 91% of our Generation Z, and especially through 2020, anxiety and depression increases 42% in adults. That is like insane. And 70% of teens say anxiety and depression is a major problem among their peers. 60% of youth with depression, they don't receive treatment. So what does that tell you, and where are they going with this? It is so horrible. So I graduated in 1983. A year later, they're spending 31.8 billion on mental health expenditures, right? 2020, there was no statistics for 21 and 20. Well, we're not done with 22, but for 21, 238.4 billion. It's insane. Like, oh my gosh, I cannot even believe. Of course, I'm not that old, right? But that's not too many years apart, really, that here we jumped from that to that. And that's only in 2020. What about 2021? It's really sad. And then what do they do is they put you on these antidepressant medications. So we got to do a study one time of all this, and I just picked out the 4 top ones: Prozac, Zoloft, Lexapro, and then Paxil. And every one of them had the same side effects: sleepiness and dizziness, nausea, dry mouth, upset stomach, constipation. Valerie was talking about constipation, and our enzymes, like anyone who is on prescription drugs are probably going to deal with constipation, right? You need an enzyme that's going to break your food down and all that other stuff if you're taking prescription medications, because I tell you what, you will not have constipation issues anymore. Here's the kicker of all of those. So you have all the same pretty much side effects, but it's weight gain and more depression. So, it's really sad. And I wanted to just stop for a second and have Lori share a testimony, because she has an amazing testimony of anxiety and depression.
I had a lot of childhood trauma. And so after I had my second child, I was struggled with depression. Of course, it was postpartum was what they called it. So they put me on the pill, and the estrogen was supposed to take care of the depression, and I got pregnant. So my last 2 kids are very close together. So then when I had my third child, I was camping with my sister and my sister-in-law, and they sent me home, and they said, and this baby cried all the time. And they said, you are depressed, you need help. And I was so mad. My mom was mentally ill. How dare they tell me I needed? But I did. I went to the doctor and I got on some medication. And throughout the years, I changed it up a little and actually tried to go off many times. And my friends would call and go, "Hey, you taking your meds?" I'm like, "Oh," and I'd have to go back on. Oh. And there weren't really natural solutions. Now, I do know that a healthy diet will help a lot, but as a single mom, that wasn't a big option for me. I was working full time and could barely make it, let alone, I was getting from the food bank. And what do we get from the food bank? Spaghetti, macaroni and cheese, snack pack pudding. And then when my husband left me for a man 20 years ago, and I couldn't get up off the floor, this was so weird. I called my doctor. Have you ever called your doctor and they actually answered the phone? I called clinic and she answered.
Wow.
And small town, she had heard. And so she put me on a second. So now I'm on 2 antidepressants, and at least I'm getting up, I'm getting my kids to school, I'm functioning. So I am grateful for that. But then as time went on and my kids graduated, and every time I went to renew, that I had to do a blood test because I was so worried about my organs. And also, I don't know if it's this way for everyone, but I couldn't cry. So there wasn't like big emotion, but that was okay because I had had a very emotional mom. But I was really starting to feel flatlined. I was like, oh, I wonder, I just felt like I was on a treadmill, doing life. I was doing it and I was really happy about that. That's why I went. Donna invited me like 5 times to come and see the CBD, and I went, and that's when I found the enzymes, which helped my gut issues because I was waking up crying, not sleeping. What happened then is I started using the CBD, and then we got the vitamin D. And so I started using that. And with my doctor's help, I weaned off 30 years of being on antidepressants. I've been 3 months off now, and I'm feeling so good. In the first few weeks, I did cry a little, and I thought, no, but it was because I had been so flatlined. And then one of my friends, Angie, she's on here, and she's known me, back in before kids and marriage. She called and she goes, you off your antidepressants? And I was like, man, I'm never going to get off these things. And this is what I said, yeah. And she goes, you got your spark back. And it has meant so much to me. And so I did the work. I've done counseling. I've replaced my meds with other good things. And about 10 years ago, I went off sugar, flour, dairy to clean out my whole system. And I try to eat really healthy. So, it's not, I don't say to everybody, get off your antidepressants, but not being on pharmaceuticals. I've even noticed in these 3 months, other little things that I just thought were maybe old age, little aches and pains are gone. And I think it's because I'm off of them.
Yes. Yay. Thank you. Oh, that is so amazing, Lori. And you know what? Most people wouldn't realize this, but to look at Lori, I mean, Lori is a DJ. She's a Seattle DJ, famous Seattle DJ for 106.9. I forget, but you wouldn't think about that looking at her that, she's had issues, I mean, we all silently battle through with things at times. Anyways, I just want to share just a little demo what our CBD is versus other CBDs. Okay. So our CBD is 100% organic. It's all plant. What makes ours different? So you've heard about the CBD industry. You've heard about it, oil, CBD oil. Everybody says CBD oil. The problem with the oils is that oil and water do not mix. Ours is 100% pure CBD. There's nothing added to it. We don't do heat. We do it a cold press. And I always like a visual. It's a patent extraction process. If you know what a Vitamix is, it's kind of like you take just the plant and you put it in there and it just liquefies it. It's kind of like a cold press. There's no chemicals added. They say that there's over about 500 cannabinoids. When you heat it, it kills off most of those cannabinoids, or you use the chemicals. It kills off most of those cannabinoids that Valerie was talking about earlier. We have a third-party testing done. We test it before, and then we test it afterwards. There is no difference. And then also, it's the highest absorption rate. An oil will only absorb 6 to 10% into your system. That's why they want you to put a whole dropper full in your tongue, underneath your tongue, and we'll see how much we can get absorbed. Well, ours is 2 drops, as Valerie showed us. That's our dosage right there, is 2 drops. And it is actually between 75 and 95%. Now we have a spray, we have those drops, and we have a metered spray. And once you spray inside your cheeks, it actually raises it up to 95% because the cheeks have higher amount of receptors in there that it instantly gets absorbed into the body. So anyways, here's a little demo for you. It's a little science demo. So they're doing oil. They're just testing out. They put it there. It's beating up, and you can see it's not mixing at all. And then they're going to put on our side, there's going to be our CBD. And so you can see that as they drop the drops in, it's just kind of cloudy. And then they're going to take it and they're going to stir it all around. and the water just becomes aqueous and it instantly absorbs into our body. So it's a little science demo that we like to do because we really want people to see the difference between what an oil is and what we have. And ours is a CBD fluid versus a CBD oil. So we do a pudding demo with our enzymes. Valerie talked a lot about the enzymes, but because she was talking about them, and I think it's really important to go hand in hand with the CBD, because if we're not breaking our foods down and getting the absorption rate that we need for the foods, then it's a breeding ground for inflammation. And so this will help with the inflammation. I'm just going to give you another little science demo that shows exactly what our enzymes do. Here he is, he's taking pudding, and pudding is actually the hardest food to digest. It has so many dairy products, sugars in it, and they're giving it to you in the hospitals. So yay, right? We took one enzyme, and this is actually all this amount takes about a minute or less than a minute, maybe 40 seconds. And you'll see it's just sped up 4 times, but you'll see what it's doing. And this is replicating food in our gut, right? And so here we go. He's going to show you within about 40 seconds what our enzymes actually do. And it liquefies it, so it's breaking all that food down. And that's what it's doing in our body. And no, you won't go to the bathroom like that, because for me, I had constipation problems for years, and Tom had the total opposite, where he could, as soon as he ate something, he would go straight to the bathroom. And what it did was it regulated both of us. For the first time in my life, when I started on these enzymes, I was actually going to the bathroom every day, and I was like, praise the Lord, because I couldn't go every day. It would be like up to maybe 4 to 5 days before I'd go to the bathroom. I heard somebody say to me the other day, they one time did not go to the bathroom for 30 days. I was like, oh my gosh, that is like so horrible. I can't even believe. I mean, after 5 to 6 days, I'm in pain, right? And so that is the world of our CBD. I wanted Patty, she's going to share about Carol's, her daughter, and she lives in Florida. She has had amazing results with CBDs.
So my daughter Carol has 3 different types of epilepsy. One of them is anxiety driven, and the anxiety driven one, she was on the highest dose of medication the doctor could give her. Plus when she got home, she would be in, and it wasn't working. She was still having 7, what they call petit mal seizures throughout the day. It was causing nerve damage because her hand would go, completely, I can't even do it, but her hand during the seizures would go clear up against her lower arm. It would seize up like that. And then her body would shake. So by the time she got home, she would be in so much pain. She'd have migraine headaches, and the doctor was giving her a really high dose medication that she would take that would knock her out. And then she'd be asleep until she had to get up and go back to work. Well, Carol has 4 children at home. 2 are very small. So it's very hard to be a mom when you're in that kind of a situation. She started taking the CBD spray every day. And she was also taking the enzymes, but the CBD spray was life-changing in our opinion. So one day she was working a long shift, and one of her friends who she's worked with for over 2 years looked over at her and said, "Boy, you must have worked a short shift today, Carol." And it was at 4:00 in the afternoon. And Carol said, "No, I've been here since 7 this morning." And she says, "Why do you ask?" And she says, "Because you're not shaking. I've never seen you not shaking when you've worked this late in the day." It dawned on Carol that she was right. And her hand, before, her hand would shake nonstop. Her hand, she says, "My hand was still as a cucumber." Well, that must be pretty still, because I haven't seen any cucumbers that shake. Yeah. But that's been since January, and she still does not have the petit mal seizures. She worked with her doctor and told her doctor about the CBD, and the doctor said, "I love the idea of you being on a natural plant-based substance like that, and that would be great if we can get you off the medication, because it's not working. Obviously, you're on the highest dose and it's not doing what we want it to do anyway." So she encouraged her to reduce her medication and just use the CBD, and that's what she's done. So she's no longer taking the medication. She doesn't have the headaches. So she's able to now, when she gets home, be an involved parent with her 2 small children and not have seizures throughout the day. She hasn't had petit mal seizures since she started taking the CBD. So it truly is life-saving and life-changing for her.
Mic drop. That's why we do what we do.
That's right. Yes. Amazing. And Carol is amazing too. I just love her. A few more little things, maybe about 5 more minutes and be done. We don't really have a whole lot of products in our company, but what we do have, they work. We talked about the enzymes. Important. I think everyone should be on enzymes, because if you listen to our girl talk on enzymes, you would totally understand that we are running out of our enzymes and we do not reproduce our enzymes. So anyway, so it's super important. We have collagen that is hands down the best collagen out there. It is a liquid pharmaceutical grade collagen, and it is a type 1. So what it does is actually it absorbs straight into the bloodstream, into our bodies. A lot of people are taking, they think that they're taking, I love to educate people, but not in a rude way. They say, oh, I have this high quality and it's a powder. And what happens is that by the time that the powder actually gets converted into a usable form, it's pretty much passed through our systems. If you or anyone that you know is taking a powdered collagen, it's not really doing much good for them. Hands down, there are so many testimonies on the collagen. There's more collagen in our bones than calcium. We think of it just as hair, nails, and skin, but man, there are so many more benefits to collagen. Renew is a vitamin E, and we have the best vitamin E out there. Boost is a nitric oxide. And I tell you what, for those that have poor circulation, this really will help cure in a natural way. Then we have a meal replacement, and the meal replacement, I tell you, I love the meal replacement. I have tried a lot of them out there. They are chalky, they're like, bleh, and I do not like them, but our meal replacement is super good. Mojo, we were laughing about. Mojo is a good for you coffee, and it really is. If you've studied the good for you coffees, we really have a really good coffee line. We've talked about the CBD. We have 3. Again, the muscle rub was what Valerie was talking about. That muscle rub is amazing too. Then we have a multi-mineral balance, which is multi-mineral vitamin. And I for years have kind of downplayed the multi-mineral vitamin until I got COVID a couple of years ago, and I was losing my hair, and I was like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And I wasn't taking the multi-minerals or the balance of vitamins, and I doubled up on those. And we have the vitamin C that's in there is from acerola cherries, organic acerola cherries. Most of it is genetically modified in a lab, high fructose corn syrup. Yeah, you don't want that in your body. And so what I did when I was losing my hair was I doubled up on my collagen, and then I doubled up on my balance. And boy, I looked like alfalfa, if you know who that is, because my hair was standing straight up. And Focus is a brain food, and then Optimize. Valerie touched on that as well. So these are our kind of our line of what we have, and we have some really good stuff. Some of us on the line have turned it into a business, and our first rank is actually a Jeep. So and it's super easy to get to the Jeep rank. And we have helped so many people get into Jeeps, and it is so exciting and so fun to do. And then we have a 50% commission where you can earn, once you get to Jade, well, before you get to Jade, you're earning 25%, which most companies on customers, most companies are giving you like 8% or 10%. We automatically will give you 25%. As soon as you hit Jade, which is the first position, from there on out, you get 50% commissions. And man, we have seen people win like crazy. I will stop there for a second because Angie, as soon as we're done, I want you to share your little story on what you guys were able to accomplish this last month. Okay. We get a 10 and 3. If you get 10 customers and 3 associates, you get $1,000 a month, or you get $1,000. Super. That's just a bonus on top of all the rest of the bonuses. I just wanted to let people know that they can either be a customer or they can become an associate. Associates get wholesale pricing, and they can choose to make a business out of it. And if you're like me, I don't really make it a spammy thing or a weird thing. I just share. If people are having problems or issues, I'm like, you know what? I think I might have something for you if you're open. If you've tried everything else, hey, you know what? You might want to try our stuff. And boy, I tell you what, we have really helped a lot of people change their lives. So Angie, just on the business side, can you tell us what you accomplished just for a quick 2 minutes last month? And that was, you guys killed it last month. I'm telling you.
Thank you, Shelley. I had been hitting it hard and educating, promoting all the information, sharing testimonies, but I wasn't seeing a good response from that. And I was getting very discouraged. And Lori would say, Angie, you're planting seeds. Be patient. You're planting seeds. Because I truly, truly believe in this company and these products. John and I have been on a natural health journey for a very long time. I have taken so many different supplements over the years. We see a naturopathic physician who I really believe has saved our lives. She's amazing. She's awesome. So I wasn't too receptive to come into this company or even look at these products, but I'm glad that I did because it's really accentuated and added to what we're already currently doing. So having said that, I kept promoting, telling my story and doing what I could. But Lori said, Angie, you're planting seeds, you're planting seeds. Well, then all of a sudden the seeds started to blossom and everything started happening this last month. And so we were able to go from Jade to Opal within this last month. We also hit 10 customers and 3 associates, which is another bonus. We have an amazing team.
Make it a business if you want to. I mean, and get the G. Thanks everyone for being on here today.